Happy New Year and welcome. Today, let's talk about some Mars retrograde, subversive New Year's resolutions. I'm Lisa Merrifield from Trails Edge Astrology, and my goal on this channel is to give you grounded, practical astrological advice so that you can make your best mark in the world. As always, if there's anything I say today that is helpful to you, would you please click the like button or leave me a comment? That helps the algorithm know that this is interesting and helps other people find it. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. All right, so let's talk about 2025 and New Year's resolutions and Mars retrograde. We start 2025 with a Mars retrograde. Mars went retrograde on December 6th, in fact, and will be retrograde through February 23rd. And Mars retrogrades are a time when we are asked to revise how we act in the world. So I feel like New Year's is the perfect time to think about that and plan for it. So, I will say, I hear lots of people who are increasingly dismissive of New Year's resolutions. Oh, they don't last. They don't do that kind of thing. But then in the next breath, I hear people talk about, their new diet program or their new financial goals or how they're going to make themselves better in whatever possible ways. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do those kinds of things. I'm just suggesting that maybe we think about it a little bit differently, a little bit subversively. So, I know just on social media and just in consuming information, there are so many ads for productivity tools and weight loss programs. It just makes me think that either we're all thinking about this or somebody thinks we should be thinking about this. And honestly, I think there's a lot of shame associated with both of those kinds of things that comes with there's baggage that comes with that kind of messaging. And I think Mars retrograde is a good time to think about it. I know I grew up hearing you can't be too rich or too thin. I really did. and we wouldn't say it that way today, but I still think that sentiment holds. And frankly, I disagree. And I invite you to also think about how you can disagree. I think you can be too rich and you can be too thin. And I think we've seen lots of really harmful examples of that the world over. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I'm on a little bit of a soapbox, so hopefully you'll you'll hang with me and take the good with my soapbox. So Mars retrograde, perfect time to think about how we actually want to show up in the world, what we want to do, what is meaningful to us. So this retrograde is in Leo, and then Mars will move back into Cancer. And so in Leo and Cancer, we're really looking at how we achieve status in the world, the things we do to make ourselves feel loved by other people, and then how we nurture ourselves and our families and our home. So I think all those things fit so nicely into revising how we think about New Year's resolutions and how we really show up for ourselves in more productive and more useful ways. So before I get started, I also want to put a plug in for my colleague Dabney Lawless, who just released a YouTube video on Pluto and Aquarius that I think doesn't speak specifically to this, but really supports this idea of revising what our New Year's resolutions are about. So she goes through the history of Pluto and Aquarius and how that has played out over time. It's really worth watching. She talks about how Pluto and Aquarius really brings down systems that are keeping us trapped. And Dabney is thinking that Pluto and Aquarius might be really looking at corporations and the ultra rich and how they are trapping most of us into things that maybe aren't helpful to us and maybe don't give us the freedom we deserve. So our consumer culture is really deeply problematic, and is that what Pluto and Aquarius will help us deconstruct so that we can be more free and live more fully as who we're meant to be. So I just wanted to mention that if this is interesting to you to think about, that's another video that is really worth watching. I'll link it in the show notes below so you can check it out. Okay, so back to Mars retrograde. Just I guess the bigger picture, we've got Pluto in Aquarius, and so is consumerism something that that will be up for review just in the next 20 years, but in the short term, like, what do we do about that? And that was the inspiration for this New Year's resolutions uh, with Mars retrograde in mind. So, yeah, so let's dive in. Sorry, I'm belaboring the point, I guess. All right. So, my first New Year's resolution during Mars retrograde in Leo and in Cancer, where we're looking at what we do to shine and what we do to protect our home and family. The first New Year's resolution I would like to suggest to you is to love and respect your body just as it is. So I was looking up some statistics, and the weight loss industry is a 90 billion with a B, dollar a year industry. So, I mean, yeah, eat right, exercise, all of that, but $90 billion? That's crazy. So the World Health Organization says that 1 in 11 people don't have enough food, and Oxfam says that we need 37 billion every year to tackle extreme chronic hunger. So we are spending almost 3 times as much to diet as we would need to really address world hunger. That doesn't make sense to me. That feels wrong. And so my first suggestion for this Mars retrograde New Year's resolution is stop fighting with yourself and donate money to places that really matter, to people who really are suffering in the world. So it's a thought. Like at some point, somebody decided that thinner is better, and there is, there's lots of lots of things written about how trying to keep women thin, it puts shame on us. It puts us in places where we're focused on this unachievable goal, and it's not healthy for any of us. It's not serving a purpose other than to keep the $90 billion weight loss industry in business. So this New Year's, remember or think about or invite in the fact that the size you are is not a reflection of your value as a human being. And maybe this year, vow to let go of that and stop giving your money to people who don't care about you or about your size, or actually have a real incentive to keep you a size that you think is not appropriate, and do something different with that money and with that energy. So that's the first New Year's resolution. Love and respect your body just as it is. The second New Year's resolution I recommend is embrace rest. So many of us are in this productivity hustle, like we got to do more, and it's a trap. The more we do, the more we have to do. We have to keep going. I can't tell you how many times I'm in a conversation. How are you? Busy, busy, busy. And we celebrate that in this society. Like that's the gold standard. If I'm busy, then I am valuable and productive. And frankly, it's a lie. You don't have to be busy all the time to be valuable. And in fact, physiologically, we are not meant to be busy all of the time. We are meant to rest a whole lot of the time. So this year, in your New Year's resolutions, what if you sleep for 8 hours a night? What if you give yourself that? You can still make a meaningful contribution to society. Arguably, you can make a more meaningful contribution to society because you won't be exhausted. You can even nap. And in fact, honestly, if you're in the same room with me and you tell me how busy you are, I'll probably tell you you should take a nap. This busy, busy culture has its roots in racism and misogyny, and it's just not a good thing. It feeds corporations who, again, don't care about us, but make millions of dollars on us being too exhausted to make mindful decisions about the products and services we use. So we owe it to ourselves not to buy into the lie, not to buy into the, I have to keep going, and I'm a better, stronger, more valuable member of society if I am, ridiculously under rested. It's crazy talk. So again, your value is based on much more than what you do. And it's really like the quality of interactions is so much more important than the number of things you check off your to-do list every day. And don't get me wrong, I love a to-do list. And I make sure every day that I do things that I enjoy and that I rest. This is one is really important to me. I get enough sleep. I prioritize sleep. I'm kind of my family probably thinks I'm irritating about it. I'm just like, well, it is my bedtime, and then go to bed. I'm sorry if we have to end the game early, or I'm sorry if we're not gonna, we can't watch that movie. Actually, I'm not sorry. It's the way it is. I prioritize sleep, and I invite you, as one of your New Year's resolutions this year during Mars retrograde, to embrace rest. So it's important. It's so important. And I can tell you honestly, you will feel better for embracing rest and slowing down. And then my third suggestion for New Year's resolution during Mars retrograde is to practice underconsumption. And this has kind of become trendy. I've seen a lot of people talking about underconsumption. Um, and for the holidays, like not buying anything at big box stores, or not, some people like not even spending any money on giving gifts to people, but donating, or I heard somebody call it mutual aid. So sometimes there are strings attached to charities, or there's some anyway, there might be reasons not to donate to charities, but mutual aid, like if somebody needs their rent paid for, maybe, and typically spend $300 on Christmas gifts for people, like maybe give that $300 to the person who needs to pay rent, and see how that feels like. Um, yeah, so just this idea of consuming less, and honestly, I think when we start loving our bodies and ourselves as they are, and when we get enough rest, I think this underconsumption um, idea is just a little easier. It's more palatable. We start to think, what do I really need that? Do I really want that thing? Um, am I really so thrilled with Target or the big box stores or Amazon that is, telling me I need all of these things, or there are these great deals? Um, or is that just part of this like crazy mindset we all get in? And I know that our economy runs on us buying things. Americans, at least, like it's this weird feedback loop where it, you this is an oversimplified example, and it's an oversimplified example, but um, corn is subsidized, so we end up with too much corn in the system, and so companies that have this corn create products that we may or may not need to use this corn, and then they market them to us, or put them in the checkout lines at supermarkets, and we buy them, and then we get blamed for eating junk food, and we feel shame for that, and we pay into the diet industry. It's this wackadoodle feedback loop that that we all assume is okay, and what if it's not? What if we just say no thanks? I read somewhere, and I may have the statistic wrong, but there's like 3,000 calories a day of food produced for every person in the United States, and unless we're ultra marathoners, or elite athletes, we probably don't need that much food every day. But it's marketed to us, it's pushed on us, and we're encouraged to overconsume. And of course, we're not just encouraged to overconsume food. We got to have a new phone every couple of years. We got to have a new car. We got to have all the stuff, all the latest gadgets. So what if we just stop? What if we get really clear and mindful about what's important and what we actually do need? Um, what if we figure out what is actually meaningful to us, what actually gives us the dopamine hit that we shop, or we buy stuff to get? What if we think about that? What if we pause, and what if we practice a little underconsumption? And I'm not saying, you know, go to full austerity measures, but what if we just pause and think, do I need that? Or or do I need it from Amazon or Target or Walmart or a big box store? Or can I get something similar from a local store owner or a craftsperson or, just again, just food for thought. What does it look like to consume less? Do we really need all the stuff we have? What does it look like to consume less? So those are my top three. There are other things that you might think of, other things that may be more meaningful to you, but just during Mars retrograde, during this New Year's, I invite you to think about the the ways you act and how to make it more meaningful, how to make it more valuable, um, and how not to buy into this circus that has us doing loop-de-loops so that we feel like people love us and we feel like we're protecting ourselves and we're protecting our family and we're nurturing. But yeah, what does that really look like? So I hope this is helpful. I hope it wasn't too rambly. Maybe I was, but that's okay. Um, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're thinking about this. Let me know what other ideas you're coming up with to kind of step out of this circus and start 2025, which is going to be a huge year of change, off on the right foot. All right, my friends, if this was helpful, again, if you'd give me a like, I would sure appreciate it. Comments, I'm super interested to hear if you've got other ideas for ways to really embrace Mars retrograde New Year. And subscribe if you want to hear more. Talk to you soon.